You know, they didn't call him magic for nothing. Ayrton Senna, he wasn't just another racing driver. He was more like a force of nature, someone who could make a car do things that seemed absolutely impossible. But was he a hero? Or maybe a villain? Well, today, we're going to dive into the brilliant, controversial, and ultimately tragic story of this absolute sporting icon.
To really get Senna, you have to understand the myth that surrounds him. I mean, he wasn't just fast, he was otherworldly. He could find grip on a track that was completely soaked, a track where other drivers just saw ice. And he could push a car to its absolute screaming limit, lap after lap after lap. It was that almost supernatural talent that made him a legend, even while he was still racing.
And this, right here, is the very core of his legend. On one hand, you have the staggering success, a career that hit the absolute pinnacle of motorsport. And on the other, it was all cut tragically short, right in his prime. This incredible contrast between life and death, between triumph and tragedy, that's what really defines his entire story.
So let's talk about that journey to the top. It was really a testament to his unbelievable speed and this unwavering belief in himself. Qualities that were obvious from the moment he first got behind the wheel.
From a little homemade go-kart all the way to the pinnacle of motorsport, Senna's rise was just meteoric. So let's take a look at some of the key moments that really defined his early career.
You know, it all started with a simple go-kart, a lawnmower engine, and a father who believed in his son's talent. Seriously. From those really humble beginnings, Senna's raw passion for racing would eventually land him in the cockpit of a Formula One car, the ultimate prize in motorsport. And his rise through the ranks was nothing short of incredible. After basically conquering the karting world in South America, he shows up in England in 1981 and just dominates. Formula Ford, Formula 3, it didn't matter what he was driving. He won at every single level, earning a spot in Formula One just 3 years later.
Okay, now this right here captures his almost supernatural feel for the car. During the Dallas Grand Prix in 1984, he just barely grazed a wall. He comes back into the pits and tells his engineer, Pat Simons, that he was sure the concrete barrier had moved. Simons was, skeptical, but they went to look after the race, and Senna was right. Someone had clipped the other end of the block, pivoting it out by just a few millimeters. That's the level of precision he was operating on. Just amazing.
His first win was a total masterpiece. Picture this, it's pouring rain in Portugal, and a young Senna in that iconic black and gold Lotus is just dancing on the edge of disaster. He lapped almost the entire field. It was a performance of pure genius and a clear sign of the greatness that was still to come.
But Senna's journey to the top wasn't a solo act. See, every great hero needs a great rival, and Senna found his in the most dramatic way possible, right inside his own team.
So in 1988, Senna joins McLaren, partnering with the reigning world champion Alain Prost. And what happened next was, well, arguably the most intense and captivating rivalry in the entire history of sports. You had two of the greatest drivers of all time in the exact same car fighting for the very same prize. Their dominance was just absolute. I mean, in 1988, the two of them won an astonishing 15 out of 16 races, a record that stood for decades. The championship was basically a two-horse race from the start, and in the end, Senna came out on top.
And they were perfect foils for each other. Prost was nicknamed the Professor for his intellectual, smooth, and really calculating approach to just racking up points. Senna, on the other hand, was pure instinct and aggression. He was a driver who pushed to the absolute ragged edge on every single lap. It was a clash of philosophies that was just destined to explode.
And that rivalry reached its boiling point at the 1989 Japanese Grand Prix. In this desperate late-race move to keep his championship hopes alive, Senna just lunged down the inside of Prost. The two McLarens collided in a shower of sparks, and the championship was decided in this huge cloud of controversy.
And then, 1 year later, the drama repeated itself. Same track, same two drivers, same incredibly high stakes. Only this time, Senna wasn't going to be denied. He saw his chance, and in this moment of just ruthless brilliance, he took them both out of the race at the very first corner, securing his second world championship in the most controversial way you can imagine.
And this quote brilliantly illustrates his mindset. It defines his entire approach to racing. He truly believed that it was a driver's duty to exploit any opportunity, no matter how small or how dangerous. It was this uncompromising will to win that made him both a hero and, well, to some people, a villain.
With 3 world championships now under his belt, Senna had cemented his place among the absolute legends of the sport. But it wasn't just the titles that defined him, it was the way he won them.
He backed up that controversial 1990 title with a totally dominant performance in 1991, silencing his critics and becoming, at the time, the youngest ever three-time world champion.
The numbers really do speak for themselves. In a career that was tragically cut short, Senna racked up 41 wins, 80 podiums, and a then-record 65 pole positions. His one-lap pace, in particular, it was simply untouchable.
But there was this whole other side to the ruthless competitor. At the Belgian Grand Prix in 1992, another driver, Eric Komas, had a huge crash. Senna was the first one on the scene, and without a moment's hesitation, he stopped his own car, ran across the live racetrack, and turned off the engine of Komas's car, preventing a fire and very likely saving his life. It was a rare glimpse of the deep compassion that also drove him.
But Senna's story, as we know, isn't just one of triumph. It's also a story of tragedy and a legacy that continues to inspire people to this day.
So, in 1994, Senna finally got his dream drive. He joined Williams, the undisputed kings of Formula One. With his rival Prost now retired, the stage was set for a whole new era of Senna dominance. And then came the third race of the season, the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. On May 1st, 1994, while leading the race, Ayrton Senna's car left the track at high speed and hit a concrete wall. He would not survive his injuries.
His death sent shockwaves across the entire world, but his legacy, it absolutely endures. In his home country of Brazil, he's a national hero, a symbol of hope and pride whose foundation has helped millions of children. And in Formula One, his death became the catalyst for a safety revolution that has saved countless lives. He is, and he always will be, the benchmark for what it means to be a true racing driver. So we're left with this question. Was he a reckless driver who just pushed the rules too far? Or was he the ultimate competitor, someone willing to do whatever it took to win? Perhaps the real answer is that he was both. And it's that complex, brilliant, and tragic duality that really cements his true legacy.